Hello, welcome to Podcast vs. Player, episode 216. I'm one of your hosts, Carl, and as always, I'm joined by a man who was chatting to a gorgeous blonde in the bar the other night. She said she was single but not looking for anything serious, just friends with benefits, which is great news for him as he's currently on the dole. Tony Bloody Dan! No pointing today. No pointing.
No, there's no point in anything as far as I'm concerned. It's too hot. The world is going to shit. There's just no point in any of it.
So if you want to hear more, head over to www.podcastversusplayer.com.
I've actually got a range of motivational cards coming out.
Ooh, will they be available
Clinton's.
in store? Through Clinton's? Is that even open anymore?
Clinton's cards? It's got to be, right? Who else does cards?
Moonpig.
Oh yeah, or Funky Pigeon maybe.
Funky Pigeon.
.com. Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to leave the house. Or
yeah, probably.
Just buy some like card stock and just print your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here goes a life lesson. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. It's
pretty good.
Very
It's muggy, innit?
It's very warm. I am tired. It's been a busy old week. And it's still going to be busy for the next couple of days or so. So probably not in the best of.
Is this one of your cards?
Ways to do about this.
What? Well, I have good news. I went to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness today in the cinema, though.
Okay.
Not in the Multiverse of Madness. That would have been crazy. And obviously, you're going to see it tomorrow, so we're not going to talk about it at all. However, can I tell you about trailers, or do you not even want to know about trailers?
No, I watched the first one.
No. I mean, the trailers that I saw today at the cinema.
Oh, well, I mean, why would I care about that? Presumably, they're not about Doctor Strange or anything.
Yeah, it's just all of the spoilers at the beginning. No, there was a trailer for the new Avatar.
Oh, I saw there was like a screenshot. It's called like The Way of Water or something.
Yeah. Funnily enough, because Zoe loves Avatar. But I'd say like when we came out, she was talking about it, and I saw some screenshots yesterday. So I assumed there would be a trailer at this showing. And I gotta say, like I said to Zoe, it looks fine, looks good. The first one was okay, but it doesn't, like, whereas the first one you were like, this looks phenomenal, like visually looks amazing. It just looks like every other film that's out now, and animation wise they don't look as realistic as Thanos did.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? So I saw Avatar for the first time. I think it was just a copy, like some back alley copy. Yeah, some dirty, grubby, under the table copy, and because it was not a great version, all of the kind of the wow factor from all the cool visuals was lost completely, which means that all I had was sort of like, context, aliens and whatever.
Yeah.
And then just story and what was going on. And it wasn't particularly... Again, it wasn't anything new. I think that, like, both of them together, like, incredible visuals and, kind of the scale and the scope of what's going on, that I probably would have been blown away if I'd seen that at the cinema. But because I saw just some shitty version of it, I was like, it's okay. But then when I finally saw a decent copy of it, I was like, oh, okay, this is why people, like it as much as they do. But yeah, like you say, it's set a lot of bars. And,
definitely,
that helps step to get things to look as good and now better than that. But if you've got purely the visuals, that was your whole, like, the whole spectacle thing, and then people have got fucking filters on their phone that can do pretty much the same thing. Yeah,
I mean, the story's just Dancing with Wolves, isn't it? Or Dances with Wolves, whatever the film was. Pretty much, it was all visuals. Like, it wasn't a bad film by any means, but the spectacle was the biggest draw. And so I went to the cinema to see it, and then me and Zoe went to see it, and then I think like the following weekend, Zoe's dad wanted to go see it, so we went to see it again. And then I bought it. I got it on Blu-ray, but it came with a free DVD version of it as well.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, that was a thing.
You get 2 discs. Like, one, here's a shit version, and here's the decent version.
Yeah. Mental. So we gave it to Zoe's mum. So
Right.
we had the Blu-ray, and then I just put it in the disc in just a blank case, and I went, here's Avatar. But yeah, so it looks as good as the first one. And that was about it, really. The rest of the trailers was a bit, oh, except for that new Brad Pitt film that I completely forgot about. When I went to see Batman, there was a film. It's from the guy who made Deadpool, and it's basically all these hitmen on a train trying to kill each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I saw something like that. I think I saw that. What did I see? What was the last film I saw at the cinema, Callum?
I don't know, you know.
I can't remember. But either way, I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Oh, that looks like it could be quite a fun,
Yeah,
cool
it
little
looks all right.
actiony romp kind of thing." So that's got to be out fairly soon, then, I guess.
I'll be honest. Like I say, the first time I saw the trailer was when I went to see Batman, and then I completely forgot all about it until today, and it's still not out.
No, hopefully in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, so that looks fun. I can't remember what else was on, to be honest. But yeah, Strange is excellent, and we're not going to talk about it until after you've seen it. So what we are going to do, Dan, is on our last episode of this particular podcast, we said we were going to do a roundup of season 1 of Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
However, this was meant to be the last, the one and only. This is it. It's a one shot. It was being nominated. I can't remember the actual name of the awards, but Hawkeye, Loki, WandaVision, and Moon Knight were all being nominated for this particular run of awards. So it's one series, one shot, wrapped up, start to finish. Loki was taken out because they are going to do a season 2. And then, whilst I was waiting for you to hop online, Dan, I found this quote from Marvel.com where they're talking about Moon Knight.
Okay.
Spoilers for the season finale of Moon Knight. This is a quote from an article from Marvel.com where they're talking about Jake Lockley, which was the personality we found out about at the end. And it says, Diab, the director, loves that he's a Latino character, and even as Jake walks through the hospital pushing Harrow's wheelchair, he's humming a Guatemalan hymn. Even though viewers only spend a few minutes with Jake, it's clear that this isn't Mark, so just imagine what's to come. Diab continues, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the third completely different character with a completely different background. Pretty sure it's getting a season 2.
Yeah, how could it not? Like, it's... Because I figured when... again, we'll kind of go over the whole season as a whole, but in that last episode when he gets the suit back and then he just sort of goes... Bum, 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 and then he's just... Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
And he's just sort of like, wait, what the fuck? I was just like, oh my god, that I forgot about this. There is at least another one person that's knocking about in there. We still haven't seen that person yet. And then the episode ended, and I was just like, wait, wasn't this supposed to be the last one? Because I was just like, okay, well, Khonshu's, he's beaten Ahmet.
Yeah.
And, that seems like all the good work's done there. Scrub through the credits until to see if there was, with quite a lot of these, there's, to see if there's a little teaser for something else, and then it's just sort of like, here's what's going to happen in season 2. So it's a sort of like, Khonshu's made this brilliant deal where it's just like, right, Mark and Steven, fine, you're not going to be my Moon Knight avatar anymore. However, this other fellow though, he is brilliant. What a cheeky, dirty move.
Which
Brilliant.
I mean, they've changed him up a bit because in the comics he's just a cab driver personality. He's not a absolute Spanish maniac that he seems to be in this one.
Do we know that isn't just some other guy? So there could be another guy hidden away in there, maybe.
I mean, because he introduces him as Jake Lockley, doesn't he?
No, I know, and then he shoots him. So presumably he's not just a driver. But I like the fact that so they go, okay, well, we've got 2 suits for this season. We'll see how it goes. and then if people like it, because if it's just a cliffhanger because there's not any like tying with like Avengers and all of the other shows, well, maybe not all of them, maybe not Hawkeye, but they've had, but at least that's got like all the Avengers ties and all that sort of stuff, and he's the same character, but there's no huge multiverse, oh god, what else is this going to lead up to sort of thing. This could be a completely separate run on its own, not connected to anything else. Also, Layla, getting her suit is banging, and I think she's
the Wonder Woman sequel we deserved.
I was thinking the same thing. Like when she's got the wings, and like when she's fighting, and she looks like she's proper into it as well.
Scarlet Scarab is the name of her persona. I don't know a great deal about her. I had to Google that. But yeah, that was awesome. Like, I honestly thought, and I can't remember if we spoke about it or not. I definitely spoke about it with someone. My prediction was she'll free Khonshu, and then it's going to be a Lady Venom situation where the symbiote got separated from Eddie. She gets it, becomes Lady Venom, takes it back to Eddie, and then he gets this. I thought it was going to be that kind of deal where she's like, no, I'm not being enslaved to you. I'll take the powers, get to Mark, but then you got to go from me to him. No fucking footy games. And I thought it was going to be that, and we'd see her rocking the Moon Knight costume, like a female variation of it or something. Obviously not, and we get Hippo Lady instead. But let's say, as far as the last episode, episode 5, all I could think of was like, we've got one episode to wrap this all up.
Yeah, where's this going?
Yeah, like to be fair, like the last episode before this was kind of like your mid-season break episode, and it was the penultimate. Like it wrapped up. It did wrap up well, and even if they never do another one, it is wrapped up to a degree where that story's finished. Where do they go from there? But but it does open itself up for a sequel like that dead easily. I think the only reason they were kind of set on it being a one-off was because Oscar Isaac didn't want to do another franchise, and when they said this was going to be a one-off, he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it then." So, but
or maybe that's it. Like they were just sort of like, "How about we both, just for both of our sakes, we just leave it open-ended."
Yeah.
So if you decide that you want to come back, you can just drop straight in and we'll make you another one happily. But if you don't, well, we could still make a sequel and just recast you.
Yeah, Moon Knight could be anyone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not adverse to it, but they haven't done it often.
No, they haven't. But
completely change a character.
But they wouldn't have to recast him in the sense that if they say just come back and do one episode,
where
you get killed, and then.
Well, not even that, but if they just said like, if you go, okay, well, we'll get rid of Stephen and Mark, or they'll be like, come in and do a day and do some like voiceover stuff, and you can do like conscience stuff, just whispering in someone's ear, but kind of like in that Altered Carbon kind of way.
Yeah.
Where they just sort of like, those personalities could just be in the head of anyone, so we could just recast and have a person doing all the other physical stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be there. We'll just record all your stuff and then you can, off you go. Or like you say, just say, just get the next unlucky son of a bitch who's going to be an Avatar. Just get them to come along.
Just pick them up. So they can do it. But what I'd like to do is not me. What I'd like them to do is you've got your MCU, you've got your extended MCU with Hawkeye, WandaVision, Loki, etc. What if we had like more of a, maybe not R-rated, but more of an adult-orientated, like Disney Plus universe with your Moon Knight, Punisher, Ghost Rider.
I was thinking this, right, because with this being sort of like Egyptian gods and mythology and magic and that kind of stuff, and it seems like with the sort of the violence factor as well.
Yeah,
it seems that like Moon Knight and Ghost Rider and Blade, they would tie into that kind of sort of not really that great people, but sort of dealing with mysticism and magic and whatever.
Yeah,
because like clearly because they said that the afterlife per se that they experienced is just like it's like a dimensional thing, because the hippo, who I can't remember the name of now, it's just like, the bloody the ancestral planes from Black Panther. That's another one. So it's like, oh, okay, well, these are just sort of like, they're just like different planes of existence, but they all sort of like, they all basically are parallel to each other.
Yeah,
you could sort of like hop in between them or whatever. So if you had sort of like, you know, like a Mephisto, Satan, demon, hell thing, boom, there's Ghost Rider. But it's, again, runs parallel to like a weird Egyptian hell version. And then same with Blade, you know, he's pissing about with vampires and the undead and stuff. Cross them all over. I'd say that they'd all work quite well together.
I think it'd work. And then obviously they never specifically have to go direct into. I know obviously Hawkeye and stuff led off the heels of the movies, but they never have to mention the Avengers or anything in these films. If in these shows, if they do, excellent. If they don't, well,
because you could have like a whole, you know, because that was the point of like, there was the movies that were doing like all the world saving stuff, and then you had the Netflix stuff, which was just street level, you know, just dealing with gangsters and stuff. So Iron Man's not going to get involved in that, you know.
No.
And dealing with Thanos is way above Daredevil's head, so he doesn't need to get involved in that. But then if you've got the sort of like, you know, you've got like your Wongs and your Doctor Stranges who are just sort of like, well, you guys are all dealing with all that nonsense. We've got all this magic shit that we're dealing with.
We've got all the stuff you can't see.
And then if you've got Ghost Rider and Moon Knight and Blade and, you know, whoever else, just sort of like, well, you're all dealing with that, but we're dealing with all the
it's like
weird,
supernatural stuff.
Yeah, demons and afterlife and weird dimensions of hell and whatever.
Yeah.
We're dealing with all of that. So you've got like everyone sort of like boxed off in their own little things, but potentially all of them could just mix up together and just, you know,
ironically,
for a new Avengers thing that's across all dimensions and space time and.
I find it funny that through all of that, Iron Fist is the one that could fit into any of those categories, but he's also the weakest one of them. not in terms of strength, but in terms of the show.
What's been done with him?
Yeah. Like we said on a previous podcast, we don't need another Iron Fist because now we got Shang-Chi.
Who's way better. Yeah,
a million times better. He would have made a good Iron Fist.
Oh, the
guy. I can't remember the actor's name, but martial artist and stuff, and he's good-looking guy, charismatic.
Yeah.
I think he'd have been good. I prefer him with Shang-Chi because we got Shang-Chi out of it, but like, I wouldn't have been opposed to that. But
well, there's like, so the series as a whole. Then, what's your?
I loved it
in terms of like, because it's shorter than most of the others. I think
it's only 6
by like an episode or 2, so it is very short comparatively. And it is mainly just focus. Like, it does feel like a bit sort of like, it does feel more like a comic book more than anything. So there's like, instead of having like huge episodes or like periods of time where there's not really anything happening, or it's more sort of like exposition or whatever, it's just sort of like bang 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 bang. It's like, it's a good couple of issues for like one story. And then
the pacing was very good, I thought.
I kind of think that it would work better as one block rather than week on week. I wish that I like, so Hawkeye I watched in one big go, and that for me, I preferred doing it that way. But I also knew Hawkeye, and I was sort of like, well, you know, nothing outrageous or create like WandaVision, like literally anything could have happened in that show. Same as Loki, it's just sort of what sort of weird Loki person is going to show up this week. That was just going to be, it's just going to be bow and arrow and families and whatever, you know. That was, but then, you know, Kingpin, like, because I didn't know that he popped into it, I didn't have like any setup for that or a week of speculation or whatever. He was just bang, he was just in it the next episode, and I was like,
wait, what?
Wait, so that's Vincent D'Onofrio and
Matt
Charlie
Murdock.
Cox, who are like, wait, what? So I think that, but because this is a totally new character, I don't think I could have waited 6 weeks to kind of watch this.
No, I mean, it was, each episode was enough that gave you that feeling where you're like, I can't wait a fucking week. Why I've got to wait for another one. And whilst it's annoying, I like that, because for me that means it's a good show. Like, there's a lot of shows that I've watched specifically on Netflix and stuff where here's the whole season, and it's kind of like, well, I'm halfway through. I may as well finish it. And
yeah,
I know Moon Knight is only 6 episodes long, but my only criticism with this, whether it's season 1, where it's the only season, whatever, there wasn't enough Moon Knight, and I would have thought with it being such a short run, they would have had him in the suit a lot more. I liked all the other stuff, so it did make up for it. But I reckon you've probably got a full episode of him in costume throughout the whole season if you put all the bits together.
I wouldn't even say that much, to be honest.
No, it's probably not an hour.
5-10 minutes of him maybe in each episode, so maybe half an hour.
Well, no, because the first episode you only see him for like 2 minutes when he's beating the thing up in the bathroom, and then you get a good chunk of him fighting in the street in episode 2.
Well, but there's a lot of it though where it just sort of like
the last one was none at all.
Away. What do you mean he flew?
No, before
He's just flying about.
Last week's, sorry.
Oh right, okay.
When
yeah.
they're,
well, no,
because
it was sort of like it's like this is more sort of like, but that was like that whole hospital thing I really liked as well because it was just sort of like at points I was just like, is this all just bullshit?
That's what I really didn't want it to be. And
I was, because if it turned out and it was just sort of like, oh no, he is actually insane and he's made the whole thing up, I would have been like, oh, so it's like the soap opera of like, and it was all a dream.
Yeah.
And it would have just been a bit gross.
And that'd explain why it doesn't tie into the MCU. Because he's just made
but
it all up.
Like he was like a big Avengers nerd or whatever, and then had a psychotic break, and that's kind of why he's written himself into it.
Yeah, to be fair, that would have been better if you was getting all these other stuff in.
Yeah, if they'd have gone that way, yeah. Because that's sort of like but that's what it seems like Ms. Marvel is going to be. It's just sort of like a big Avengers nerd who gets a break and kind of powers up and teams up.
Which seems very similar to the Square Enix Avengers game storyline.
I really like the storyline from the Avengers game. It is solid. Story. I just wish the
story's fine. It's just the game itself.
Yeah, annoyingly, yeah. If they'd have just done what they'd done with Guardians and just had that linear focus towards it, which potentially, if they do make another one,
which is unlikely,
I reckon they'll.
They've sold all the licensing stuff, aren't they?
Well, I know that they
and the Avengers cost. How much was it?
Been sold, but
was it like $200 million they lost on Avengers, something like that?
What in terms of? I don't know. It wasn't. It was. I don't know if it was that much, but it was. It was still a lot. Because now it's free to play and it's on fucking Game Pass. Yeah. There's no point in paying anything for it. But like Guardians is something I would actively recommend that people.
I think Guardians is excellent. Very, very good.
And as and when they do another one, probably won't, maybe they'll do a Guardians sequel. After like Guardians 3 comes out and the hype is a bit more back.
Yeah, because it was random, very random to pick. I'm glad they did because the story was good and the gameplay got a bit after a while, but I enjoyed the game a lot. But it was such a random. Why then? When there's no hype, like there wasn't even in like the latest movie. You only had like 2 of them in there. Not the latest Guardians Marvel movie.
Yeah.
I would have preferred they just went, sorry about Avengers. Here's an Avengers game that's not like the last one.
But again,
I am glad they did it.
If they do, because if they could just keep the same kind of look to it, the same kind of mechanically, it's just sort of like you skill up and you get more abilities or whatever. But just interchange again, which is what Avengers should have been. It should be like Fortnite. Like Fortnite has new characters and shit added every fucking week, right? And as much as I don't want to play the game at all, I respect the fact that it is not letting up.
Nice.
Like as soon as there's a new big thing, boom, there's a Fortnite crossover into it as well.
I'm surprised they didn't do the Robert Pattinson Batman, which I was very surprised at.
Because it's not a kid film though, is it?
Everything else has been in it though. Got fucking Kratos.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Well,
maybe it's more of a because the Kratos has been around for 20 years.
Do you know who was added last weekend? The Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay,
Now,
that's weird.
you
But
named me a Fortnite, with the exception of me, you named me a Fortnite player that knows who the Wu-Tang Clan is. Are they even a band anymore?
I don't know. Were they a band ever?
Yeah, do you not remember the Wu-Tang Clan? I had the game.
Did they play instruments?
I think some of them did. Obviously, they were mostly rappers, but there was a game on the PlayStation. It was a fighting game. Enter the Wu-Tang, Enter the Clan, or something like that. And I had it, and it came with a free single of Gravel Pit, which is the only Wu-Tang Clan song that I know.
Right. Okay.
But yeah.
Well, I don't know any of the words that you just said, but sure.
Yeah. So
the Avengers was like, okay, so you start with your Thor and your Cap and your whatever, but by now, at this point in time, when that came out like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, every fucking character that's ever, like, there should be a Shang-Chi one in there.
Should
there
be
should
a Lego
now be
game.
a Moon Knight in there.
Like where you got all your Lego characters.
Do you know what? That would even be a get out of jail free card that I'd accept. And it was just like, instead of it just being DLC, it was like not a service.
Oh no, do it as like, if you got to buy them, whatever. But like, I want by now. That's how many characters there should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it should be an ever changing roster. And the last person that was added was Black Panther, which was 8 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like Sony, PlayStation, not long got Spider-Man.
But it's also dog shit.
Yeah, it's like Fortnite did a better job with Spider-Man with the webs.
Yeah. So like now, what, like, again, even when you look at sort of like, you know, Ant-Man and like fucking,
yeah, where was that?
Hank Pym is in it.
But
so where's the Ant-Man suit?
But there was a fucking, there's like I remember like on the I think it was E3.
Yeah,
where
they
showed you the thing for it. It's like, where the fuck's that?
Yeah, there's no Ant-Man in it. Like, again, Hank Pym is in it, but you can't play as him, and you can't be Ant-Man.
Outrageous.
So, there's just like, but then there's like a Pym particle, like, power-up thing for like some of the equipment. So, like, you can just batter someone and they go, whoop, and just shrink down to tiny, and you can just batter them.
But I want to shrink down to tiny.
But that's exactly it. But it's just because I think they've given up, and they go, right, whatever's just similar to what we've already got, that's fine. Yeah. So if you want to have a brawler in there, we've got Cap already, and you know, so Black Panther, it's just kind of a variation on that, so that's fine.
That's the thing that they do, though, because they'll look at it and they'll be like, we've added Black Panther. It's just the same as somebody else who's got a different skin. We've added Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. They're the same character.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're going to get another Archer in there as well. Like,
it's a crossover with Green Arrow.
It's the variety that people want. Why is there no Doctor Strange in there?
Honestly, I thought that today because I unlocked Strange on Fortnite yesterday, and then when I was on the way home, I was thinking, like, obviously you can't use magic or anything. I was thinking, like, I wonder, why didn't they do a Doctor Strange in the Avengers? Because it'll still operate the same. You'd have a block, which would be magic, and you have a projectile, which would be magic, and he's not opposed to hand-to-hand combat, so nothing to change. Make him float a little bit instead of walk. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that's what I mean. Like, if they just said, well, you know, this isn't like an MCU kind of thing either. So yeah, put all the X-Men in there, put all the Fantastic Four in there as well. Yeah. You've got Hulk, boom, reskin it. There's the thing, done. Next, do you know what I mean? Like, the potential was infinite there, and they absolutely beansed it.
They did. So, they got too greedy with it, and they tried to go with a more like. Have Square Enix ever done one of these live service style games before? Because
no, it feels like a very EA kind of move that, like, they've had their hand forced into it to say, like, we need to recover our losses, so, you know, let's loot. Let's loot
grind
crate
it,
and, you know, there's coins that you can buy for aesthetics, and like some of the costumes are really cool, but I'm not paying for a single one of them on principle because I don't play it enough to justify it.
Yeah.
But like with Fortnite, like, you pay for some of the skins for that, but again, you know that it's purely aesthetic, and you know that it's because you play it a lot, so it's
I mean, like, the amount of money I've put on Fortnite. I mean, to be fair, most of the money I spent on Fortnite has been because I'll buy the V-Bucks for me, but it's to buy low because you can gift it to people. But I know, right? We'll get into this
as a comparison, because it doesn't matter, right? But yeah, show's great.
It is.
Watch it.
Yeah, it's fine. No, how do you rate it on a Disney Plus scale? How many Mackie Mooses out of 10? No. No. Where is it on the scale? So you got Loki, WandaVision.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So, considering this is a new character that's been written in, and it's not shoehorned into some, it's
other universe,
Infinity Stone thing again. I like the fact that it's completely separate and it doesn't have to hang on the coat strings of something beforehand. I'd say it's...
Sorry, no, because before you gave your score, I was going to ask you a question, just because you said it. How would the snap have affected, or the blip, rather, would that have affected Mark differently? So maybe Stephen went, but Mark didn't.
Well, no, because that's... Like, they're not two separate entities.
But they got two souls,
so
haven't they?
So it's not like Stephen would have been blipped. Like, they're all in his head. It's a neurological thing. It's not a physical thing.
No, but because...
Like, it's not like you went, I'm going to get rid of half of all life in the universe randomly, as well as all additional schizophrenic...
But he had his own soul. Like, Stephen had his own soul, which is why they was off balance.
Yeah, but no, they were off balance because they hadn't...
Also, when Stephen goes into the desert and that perfectly balances them, what about Jake? Why didn't that off balance them?
Well, that's the thing, because like Stephen and Mark were both released, so Jake was still in that sarcophagus rattling around.
Yeah.
So, but I suppose he has still been out at some point or another.
Yeah, at least
maybe
2 times.
Because it's because like Stephen was a creation of Mark.
Yeah,
because of like his need for
security,
like his coping mechanism for his mother. But we don't know the birth of Jake and where he's come from, and if that's born of like, is that like, was it like Stephen was this sort of like
a safety net,
kind of naive and timid, and then like kind of Jake is the opposite of that, and he's like just a fucking mental case. Yeah. So maybe that's why, like, because that's the thing. It was more like Mark and Stephen kind of coming to terms with each other and understanding why both of them needed each other to balance the scales out, rather than they were two separate people. That was the impression I got from it anyway. I don't know if that is necessarily the case. Because otherwise, if you were Mark and you're like, oh, okay, well, I know that I am the original and I created Stephen, I would have whipped him straight over that boat and just been like, right, throw me into heaven, which is just a giant field of reeds. I'm sure Sting would have loved it there.
Well, hey-oh. That's a good joke. That's a good joke.
There you go. But if that, I tell you what, if that had been heaven, and it was just sort of like, oh, it's just endless fields of corn,
that was his
like,
manifestation, wasn't it?
Desert.
Because he wanted peace and tranquility, didn't he?
Forever in a field on your own.
I mean, I think that seems worse than the desert. It was too...
Yeah, right.
It was too
At least
bright.
I'd just frozen me in the desert and I would have been done.
I've got hay fever. I
hate corn.
I think it was just more of a visual, because it wasn't a real place, was it? Because as soon as you turned around, it disappears. But
I love the fact that he didn't have to like go through a thing. It was just sort of like, as soon as he was like, no, I'm not into this, heaven was just sort of like, right, well, I'm done.
You gotta go back. See you later, bye.
Instant. Like, there was no sort of pause to, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Instant.
No takesies, backsies.
Yeah, back into the desert, mate. Right next to your weird scarred... I still don't quite get how they're... Like, how can it be... I don't want to go into it, but I want to see, like, Black Panther, like, sort of show up and go, like, I don't understand. So there's like an African version of this, and there's an Egyptian version of this, but they're both the same. So does that mean that in, like, the weird ancestral plane in Black Panther, is there, like, a bit over, like, Pride Rock, and you'll get stuck in the jungle forever or something?
Maybe. I mean, because of it all being... I suppose it all kind of harks back to just religion in general. Like, there's so many different religions, and what people perceive to be... like the Black Panther one, it might just, instead of a field of corn, it's just a giant litter box where all the panthers can revel around in and do the business. But it was just I don't know why I thought of it. It's just because obviously throughout the whole thing, it's more of a like a psychological coping mechanism for Stephen. But then throughout the last couple of episodes, that's how it started, but it's manifested into more than that. And then if the snap would have affected him in any possible way, or what about like Khonshu and that? Because it was all people on Earth. What if Khonshu went?
I don't know, because again, as a god, is he like? I suppose it depends on like. It feels like very much like the snap would feel very much like a deal with the devil, or like a genie's wish, where it's just sort of like you need like if you want to affect like gods and other things that aren't necessarily like you'd have to like picture all of the variant like so it would be like all of sentient life or all of anything that because would the Watchers have been affected
potentially? Because like he might have just gone.
But do they not exist outside of like time and space anyway?
So like living life on Earth. Everyone that was on Earth at that particular moment in time.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If they go, well, technically they're not a live person. It's an ancient Egyptian god, which
more of an entity.
In the same way as Thor, like he's not really like that same kind of like as a human being would be. He's still a living creature, but like he's better than that. Would he have been affected? Like, and would all the Asgardians would they have been affected? And then like, I don't know, like the fucking dragon from Shang-Chi, would that have been caught up in it as well? Do you know what I mean? Like, where does it stop?
Yeah.
Like that's why it would just be sort of like it's so open to interpretation. It would just be sort of like anything that lives on the planet and has like a normal day to day. That's what I think he's thinking when he's doing that snap, rather than all conceivable life, anything that could be determined to be life, regardless of its physical form.
So it depends.
That's half of all of that.
It depends how long he's got to make his request.
Well, we saw how long he had.
That's what I mean. It's just a case of him just going. That's a lot to think about.
Like he whipped it out of Vision's head, popped it in the glove, got an axe to the chest, and then did it. I don't think you had time to sit there and have a good old think about it. I think he'd just be sort of like, all life, half of it, gone, bang.
That's I imagine that's what he's done.
Yeah, so Khonshu's there just sort of like...
if I could sweat.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's sort of like... Because I didn't even think of that, like when Ahmet's freed from her thing and she's like a giant crocodile lady. And I was like, oh yeah, he's just a skeleton.
Yeah.
Like, where's all of his... like weird bird flesh? Where's all that gone?
I'd say the time hasn't been kind to you, so I assume obviously they do have an expiry date, so to speak.
Yeah, it looks better though with a like disembodied.
I mean, I think he looks pretty cool, and because they've still got like the weird like hair tendril things that move, and he's just an odd looking fella.
I tell you what I do like though. There was a bit in the last episode when Harrow is on top of the pyramid, and then Moon Knight comes flying in, and then they sort of have like a bit of a scrabble in the air.
Yeah.
And he like grabs him by his cape, and then he changes to like Mr. Knight, so he doesn't have a cape anymore, and then turns back so he can fly off. And I was like, clever. That's like Batman gadgets, sort of like.
I did like the use of them. That was their new when he says, "I've got some new tricks there." Really, I forgot what he said now.
Yeah, because he's got like his sticks, hasn't he?
Yeah. Then obviously when they're like, obviously he sends fucking Mr. Knight through the shop thing and out into the alley, and then Moon Knight comes flying back in there. So that's really.
He's got a grapple gun
clever.
as well.
Yeah.
Where did he get that from?
The thing is that this is because there was a guy I was talking to on yesterday, and he's not enjoyed Moon Knight at all. And he stopped watching it the other week.
Right. Okay.
And he was saying, he goes, he's getting a battering online. I was like, I mean, it's like universally praised by critics and just viewers alike. And he goes, my mate hates it. And one of the reasons his friend doesn't like it is because obviously in the comics, Stephen, he's like the billionaire personality, but obviously all the money's amassed from Mark's mercenary stuff, but he's a lot more suave and everything else. I was like, yeah, but they've changed it to make a story out of it, because if he's a billionaire and he's pretty cool, he's pretty suave, And then at night time, he's running around with a cape, all these fucking cool gadgets and stuff. Who is it?
Do you want to know what Moon Knight's got? This critically panned and hated show. 87%. This is Rotten Tomatoes. 87% critics, 93% audience.
There you go.
Talking out his arse.
Yeah, no, I'd say 100% he is. But I mean, I'm not an avid Moon Knight reader. I know enough to know the ins and outs and stuff. I'm fine with them changing Stephen's personality. Because
name me a single MCU character that's popped up on screen so far that hasn't been changed in some not in like a drastic way, but there's been certain tweaks. I still haven't watched that.
It's really good. I finished it the other day. It's excellent.
It's on Disney Plus, really good. I still need to watch it.
I really enjoyed it.
There's although speaking of Disney Plus, Callum, we had a new trailer drop yesterday.
We did, Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Indeed, and it looks pretty fucking good, mate.
I still hate Grand Inquisitor's look. I still hate it. I'm never going to get over it.
No, you won't. I mean, you will eventually when it's in season 3 and you're like, oh my god, this is the best show ever made. All of a sudden you won't give a shit about it. But other than that I will grant you, other than that, I don't think there's a single thing in that trailer. Like, just the trailer alone.
Yeah.
It's the PvP motto.
It still could be
trailer
awful.
Doesn't mean anything. Tonally, visually, looks pretty fucking good.
I think it looks very, very good. I'm still not happy with the old. How does he go from Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness in the time frame?
Yeah, it's stressful in the desert. Real stressful.
I mean, it's obviously something like glass over there. There's loads of gloss over that even. There's loads of shows that do a similar thing. Like I said on the first trailer, thematically, getting very strong Fallen Order vibes, story-wise. What was the other thing? Still no look on Vader, which I'm fine with. Don't spoil it. Obviously, we get very. Make him. Yeah, it's about Obi-Wan.
It's exactly all you need to do is what they did in Rogue One. They go, he's still there. He's still a big part of this.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to be like when you're sort of like just a dude. You are not going to be interacting with Darth Vader on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
Like, Ben Mendelsohn has one interaction with him because he's getting a bollocking. like that's the only time. And then he shows up because it's the start of A New Hope. So he has to be there.
Yes, he's got to.
But but there's no other reason for him to be involved in just like these little things because he's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like he's dealing with conquering the galaxy. You are not a part of that or big enough for him to deal with. Obi-Wan, on the other hand, like there's a personal investment in that as well.
Yeah. But by this point though, like up until the show, obviously it could change. Vader's not pursuing him to the degree where it's not. This isn't a hunt to find Obi-Wan. This is a hunt to kill the Jedi. And I'd be fine if they went, here's the first episode. Here's Vader with his team of Inquisitors going, this is your job, and then we don't see him again until maybe the end of the run. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I think so, because like maybe you could just do what they've done with Luke in Mando.
Yeah.
And they just say he's in it when you just need a cool thing to happen. So like, you know, if you see like Obi-Wan sort of like, you know, tear through a few people, or like the Inquisitors just like fucking up rebels or whatever. But you know, everyone's kind of and then Vader can come in and he can just like Rogue One it. Because I reckon if they go, okay, if we're going to have him, we'll have Hayden Christensen come back and he can do it. But the vibes we need is Rogue One Vader.
Yeah.
Corridor Vader. That's who we need to see. You need to see Rebels Vader.
Sorry. What if we don't get Rogue One Vader and we get prequel Anakin still? And he's just like, we found Obi-Wan. He's like, where is he? He's on Tatooine. Oh, but it's full of sand.
Oh, no, not there. Oh, no, my mom died there.
I saw a little comic earlier on, and it was Vader. I forgot he's getting something. I think he was just getting a coffee or something like that. And the guy's like, he goes, oh, enjoy. And then Vader says, you too. And then like he's in the Death Star. He's just like, oh, you too. And he's flying around, and the next thing he's just like, you too. And the next thing he's just blowing the planet. He just blows the planet up, like just to get out of it. But no, I mean, I've got very high hopes that Hayden Christensen he'll be a much better Vader than he was.
He's had like 20 years of being sick to death of people moaning at him about it.
Well, I read last week that he's been watching all of the Clone Wars TV show.
So he wants to catch up on. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So that's the vibes he's going with, because that Anakin's a far better Anakin than we got in the movies.
But that's also an Anakin that's had 60 hours to be played out and worked up and stuff like that. But what we don't need now is we don't need that Anakin, because that's Anakin as he's on the path to turn. We need. He's past Revenge of the Sith Vader. He's established. Yeah. He's accepted that he's a prick and he's going to be a prick.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, do him and Obi-Wan cross over? Because how can they? If like Obi-Wan's chilling on Tatooine and Vader comes to Tatooine, he's like, I know you.
Wait a
minute. You cut my arms and legs off and set me on fire and put me in this fucking suit. Like, why would he leave him alone? And then, like, obviously, then it cuts straight to A New Hope, where he's just like, I haven't seen you in a long time.
That's
like, I haven't seen you for 3 years. And then, when we keep on bumping into each other on Tatooine, why wouldn't he go there and just bomb the planet?
They're never going to meet each other in this show. Never.
That's what I mean. Like, it needs to be like, he can deal with as many Inquisitors and Stormtroopers as you want to, 1 million of them. Send them all in, and he can just cut through them or whatever. But Vader, you have to have him doing big galactic stuff, and you have to have like even the most indestructible. Like, you can have the Grand Inquisitor, and he shows up everybody else, and then when he comes up against Vader, or he's sort of like giving him a bit of a bollocking, he's nothing compared to him. They shouldn't even be close to being on the same level.
So you need that Rogue One vibe of, this is an unstoppable, murderous fucking Jedi killing machine. And
well, speaking of though, does that mean that we'll get a bit of Maul? Do you reckon? Because this would be pre-Maul death.
This would
proper death.
Be potentially. This has got to be a little bit before Rebels. Because
it's not Alec Guinness.
No. But that's what I mean. Like Luke and Ezra are born on the same day.
Right.
So obviously at the start of Rebels, Ezra's like 10, something like that, maybe a little bit older.
Like early teens.
And then by the end of it, he's obviously a lot older. I know,
but that's what I mean. So Maul is still mooching about.
Because it's in the Clone Wars he comes back. Which is
and we've seen him in Solo.
Yeah.
Which is, again, that would be about the same kind of time as well.
But again,
so
he doesn't meet Obi-Wan until Rebels. They don't meet again.
That's what I mean, though, because like if you were to have anyone meet up, like, unless they've got a reason to do so, like, so Maul could still be in it, and he could be a player in, like, if he's arranging crime shit on Tatooine, and then Obi-Wan comes in and sorts it all out. And like, but again, they wouldn't necessarily know about each other.
Yeah.
So he could be like, there's a Jedi in Tatooine, he's doing my tits in, but he wouldn't tell the Emperor, because why would he? Well, yeah,
because he's keeping off, trying to stay off his radar, and he build up his own empire.
Yeah.
You know who could show up? That does have a history in both Clone Wars and in Rebels. Cad Bane.
I suppose it'd be a shame to waste the
prosthetics,
incredible suit that they've got for him. Yeah,
but yeah, he's in a lot of episodes.
But you could you not have Saw Gerrera and Rex and stuff like that? Like clones that have been.
You could definitely have Rex.
Again, Tamara Morrison, he's got an infinite contract. Slap a beard on him, bang, there's Rex, done.
There's all of them.
And to be fair, you could say, he's here, and so's Boba Fett.
Yeah.
They'd all be knocking about at the same time.
But you only need him in one of them costumes. have obviously
actually no, that would be afterwards, wouldn't it? Because it's after Jedi.
No, Rex is in Rebels.
No, Boba Fett. I mean, like he'd still be in Sarlacc at that point.
No, because Jabba's still alive in Thingy, isn't he?
No, Jabba's dead. So
No.
Boba Fett.
No. Being like obviously in not the Book of Boba Fett. That's the same time as Mandalorian, isn't it? So that's
exactly. Which is
in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens.
Well, that's a big gap, though.
Yeah, but it's after the fall of the Empire, before the rise of Kylo Ren's band camp. So Boba Fett would be within that time frame. Plus the clones, they live longer than normal peeps.
Yeah, I just think that you could that would be a good carryover, and the same for Ahsoka, I guess. Like potentially they could, because you could have an Ahsoka Vader, having a crack at each other.
I mean, like I say, I don't want to say too much with the Rebels, because a lot of the things that you're going to think is most likely or potentially may have happened in Rebels.
Oh, I see. Right.
And I'm trying to just figure out timelines and stuff. There is something that happens in Rebels that it makes timelines mostly irrelevant because of this one thing, but I can't tell you because it's a big thing. So,
well, annoyingly, I've only got about 6 episodes left of that,
Get
so
it
I need
finished.
to probably watch that at some
Get
point.
it finished.
Fucking hell.
There's I am very much looking forward to it. I don't understand why they didn't release it yesterday though, May 4th.
Which would have been perfect, because... Or maybe they were just sort of that and Doctor Strange, do we want 2 things that are going to be... do we want to deviate people's attention from one to the other? We want to push them both for... But then, if you're doing the May the 4th thing, push Strange back a week.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. But obviously everyone's different, but I went to see Doctor Strange and I came home and watched the last episode of Moon Knight. So that's what I would have done with Obi-Wan. But the original release date was the same date that A New Hope came out on. So I can see them that. But May 4th is just better. Yeah, it came out the same day. Yeah, but it's not the same year. So
yeah.
But this way we get 2 episodes, don't we? Because it's been pushed back 2 days. So we get 2 episodes now. But that makes me think the first episode is going to be quite slow. And that's why we're getting 2 episodes. Same as WandaVision. Got the first 2 of that.
Built up to, it was a lot of build up to what the hell is going on.
Yeah, and I think Obi-Wan will be the same. I think the first one will be a bit, it's fine. And then the second one will be like, this is real good. Or they're both shit.
I don't think it will be.
No, I think it'll be very good.
No, I think I've got good hopes for this.
And new hopes.
Hey, new hopes. But you saw Strange today. I'm going to see that tomorrow. But yesterday, Callum, I watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
I'm going to watch it this weekend. So no big spoilies. You can talk about it, but no big spoilies.
I really liked it. I thought it was.
Wait! No,
fucking blast.
We haven't put Moon Knight on our Disney Plus tier. So how many is there?
So there's Hawkeye, Loki, Falcon, Winter Soldier,
WandaVision,
now Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. That's it, innit?
For the MCU stuff.
For the DPU, the Disney Plus universe.
Yeah,
say
minus
5.
any shorts or one shots or whatever.
No, not including Hitmonkey and MODOK and that stuff, just the live action stuff. So number 5. I'm saying Falcon. Dan's thinking, audio listeners, by the way. We haven't just gone.
I don't know, because they're all good in their own right. They're all very different from each other. But that's not to say that one is any worse than another.
I honestly think Falcon and Winter Soldier's the worst of the lot.
But that's not even because it's
not bad.
Poorly made.
It's not bad. The others are just better.
Yeah, but I think it's because they've also had chance to kind of build off that as well. And I think that when you've got like a guy with a robot arm and a guy that can fly, or he's got a jetpack that can fly, you're restricted because you go, well, we haven't got a £150 million Disney Marvel, huge budget where we can have him flying around every time you see him. We go, okay, well, maybe you can fly once. And like
and that's the first
how you
episode.
Yeah. And then after that, break his wings and we'll figure it out.
Clip him.
But then, he's got the new cool suit, and that's a big deal to have,
It is. But I think it would have been better in a movie because I think the suit looks quite cheap.
But that's the thing. I think that the Moon Knight suit looks movie quality.
Yeah, it looks
whereas
real
like
good.
the WandaVision Scarlet Witch suit was quite good, but it didn't really go, oh my god, that's incredible. I think you're right. I think there's definitely a better new Falcon Captain America suit that's going to be out there somewhere.
Well, you look at the
I'd in terms of if we just say enjoyability rather than
none of them bad
actual quality.
They're all great shows.
In terms of which ones am I going to go back and watch again? So yeah, probably Falcon. Oh god.
See, this is where I struggle. I honestly do. I'm going to just spoil it here. I think Loki's number one still, personally. I really, really, really liked Loki, and it feels the most MCU of all of the shows. However,
it does. I felt I had a more warm feelings for Hawkeye, though. I think
Hawkeye was the surprise hit, and I think that's on its side as well, because I expected that to be on level with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it turned out to be the most MCU.
Yeah.
It felt like a very condensed MCU movie about Hawkeye. But I also think some of the goodness is it's got fucking Kingpin in it.
Yeah, maybe. And then like Wanda was like week to week, anything could have happened in that show. And I think that Loki was still. I think probably maybe depending on what day you catch me on, and when I talk myself out of it, I'd say Wanda, Loki, and Moon Knight would probably that whole thing would just switch around time and time again. And I couldn't narrow it down.
See, I loved WandaVision, but I can understand why WandaVision's the most controversial. And in some people's lists, that would have taken the space of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I mean, if you want to think, okay, well, all right, cool, end battle. How does it end? So WandaVision is just two witches just zipping about, shooting plasma bolts at each other. It's fine, but it's not great.
It's
Hawkeye
laser
had
by numbers.
Yeah, kind of. It's just sort of big murky sky, lightning.
Yeah,
it's nothing outstanding. There's flag smashers and Carl from Up, Captain America. that's kind of cool, but it's again, it's nothing really groundbreaking. The whole Kang timeline breaking thing from Loki, that was amazing.
It's the best
that was genuinely a great way to end. The Moon Knight sort of two giant Egyptian gods kicking shit out of each other in the middle of Egypt. It seems very sort of giant monsters, again, paint by numbers, a bit more sort of, good guy eventually wins.
They did it in a good way because it was like a parallel. No, I mean, there's no good guys.
Yeah.
But
that's because the only good guy is really Stephen, but he's kind of trapped and he doesn't really exist, and it's all a bit sort of oh god, this is all quite awful for everyone involved. But it was still quite an entertaining. It was a fun kind of ending.
Yeah.
WandaVision was kind of cool because obviously we've got Photon that was.
We did, but
it felt a bit underwhelming in terms of. I think it's because of you can't have fucking Aaron what's his face show up and just be oh my god, it's the fucking guy from X-Men.
Yeah, no, it's
incredible.
Ralph Boner,
and then no, it's not. What a kick in the bollocks.
No Mephisto. No, nothing.
Everything cool that we all thought
there
could
was
have happened.
So many expectations, and not so much expectations.
But that's our own fault though, because that was never.
It is. and I 100% agree, with the exception of Ralph Boner. That was an expectation. They went, look, it's Quicksilver.
Yeah.
It is Quicksilver. He refers to himself as Wanda's brother. He has the speed.
And then dresses up as original flavoured Quicksilver.
Yeah. He's got the speed, he's got everything. And they went, nah, it's not really. They go, what?
Well...
That's not expectations, you just lied to us.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be difficult to kind of narrow it down. In terms of, like, maybe which one would I want to see
more of?
If you said, okay, we can make a second season of any of them, which one do you want?
Loki.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be, yeah. Because that, when it's just sort of like, it's TVA, like space and time, it's like Doctor Who, but in the MCU.
That's a good way of putting it, and I don't like Doctor Who either.
But that's the thing, if you imagine, like, because the premise of it being like, infinite time and space, you go anywhere and do anything and interact with anyone in history and aliens and whatever, and then you give it a Disney budget, that show would be incredible. But it doesn't. It has a BBC budget of about £45. So every monster is the same thing, and it's always Daleks. Like, it's never going to be as good as something like Loki, which you just go, oh, it's just enormous bureaucracy, and everything that you thought was cool and important is actually bullshit, and it's just all paperwork and whatever. And Owen Wilson's in it, which is incredible.
And he is just Owen Wilson as well, which is just like, wow.
And then we get not Kevin Bacon in Moon Knight instead. Coincidentally not dead, which is good for him.
I need to... it was addressed in the title of the last episode where Carl lies about dead celebrities. I was misinformed, and I didn't do any journalism whatsoever. I just went off the wrong information, which coincidentally I was also informed that they did correct me, and I just didn't listen to. So not Kevin Bacon is not dead, but unfortunately the chap, and I can't remember the name of the character, but the guy who has the sarcophagus exploded and melted by not Kevin Bacon, he was the person that died in a I think it was a skiing accident. So that's very sad. But I lied. So
I think you're right. I think Loki is the one that I was just like, if you were to offer it up, like, because like what other silly, crazy Lokis are going to be mooching about?
There's loads of possibilities, and I think, like, in all fairness, having watched Strange, there's your second season of WandaVision. There in that movie, I'm not going to spoil anything. Obviously, we know Wanda's in it,
of course,
but I don't think we'd get anything more from another season of it. I wouldn't say no to it. I wouldn't say no to another season of any of them.
It's resolved itself by the end of the first.
That's what I mean. It doesn't lend itself to go, here's season 2. Now she's moved from Westview to another town.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the point of Westview was like a coping mechanism for the death of Vision. And she's created Vision out of this need to have him in her life. And I totally get that. But when that illusion is broken and it turns out that it's Agatha the whole time, like, I would like the second season of Wanda to not be the second season of Wanda. I'd like it to be the first season of Agatha. Yeah, just mooching about and being a prick to everyone. Sure, I'd love to see that. That sounds great. But I don't want to... No, I think that just going, oh, no, she's created another reality, and forget it. Like,
it wouldn't have the same impact. Because the beauty of WandaVision was you didn't know what the fuck was going on. Now we do. If they do it again, there's no real surprises there. And even though we know there is going to be another season of Falcon Winter Soldier, it's just going to be the same thing again. But now he's got a different suit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they just move away from, like, instead of... Because you don't want, like, a team of just, it's another instance of it's person with powers X, and then they fight enemies with powers X as well, and they just sort of... Supposedly, it's the strength of will that overcomes it, whatever.
Mr. Feige has said that the next season is going to be more of a buddy cop thing.
That's fine. Like, I'd have rather it be like, if they'd said, in Civil War, instead of Zemo shooting all the Winter Soldiers on ice, one of them got out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, New Cap and Bucky have to go and they have to team up to go and take out this super soldier. But because, Bucky's, I don't know, for whatever reason, he's not as good or as strong or as fast or whatever, he needs someone there to help him out. And he can't ask Steve because he's an old man now. So, you know,
presumably dead by this point.
Presumably, yeah. I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I think this is I think Armor War would probably open up some extra kind of interesting things that could happen, like if they start to cross over into that as well. I just think that there's I just want to see like kind of what they've done with Moon Knight. They just say let's make a season to just be a season, and we can use it as an intro to a new character that's not tied into fucking Infinity Stones and whatever. It could just be new and interesting for the sake of being new and interesting. Yeah. And we make a bunch of those, and then whichever ones people like, they can go into the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a better way of doing it, because you're not locked into anything. And especially if they are
either.
Yeah, so you signed on for this, and then we'll see where it goes. If it picks up, we can pursue another season. If you're interested, stay involved. If you're not, well, we can think of something else. But having these smaller... I'm still not a fan of these 6-episode shows. I think 6 is not enough. But if you're going to be testing the water for stuff, especially when the MCU and everything related to it has predominantly been... Obviously, we love it, and millions of people love it, but they're geared for younger audiences. It's superhero fantasy stuff. And then now we're getting into this more adult-orientated... Like, Moon Knight was like... I'm sure it's like... it's not R-rated. I think it might be a 15, I think.
Probably. I mean, there wasn't anything excessively... But, like, he was shot. And that's probably... one of the only things I was just sort of like, not happy with that. He was shot twice and fell into water. No blood in the water, no blood all over his shirt or anything like that.
That was the thing, though. The first poster, like, for the week of Moon Knight, and they had the Disney Plus thing, where he just stood there and all of his knuckles are all covered in blood.
Yeah, but, like, that's the thing, because, like, there's like, loads of death in it and stuff like that, but they cut away from it all.
Yeah.
Because it's just sort of like, oh, he's fighting, and everyone's dead.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but there's no explanation of how it all happened. Because like, okay, well, I'd like to see the deleted scene where he changes into it. Maybe they'll do that in the second season. They go, right, we'll see all the Jake stuff where he's battering someone to death.
Maybe that's season 2. It's all season 1, but from Jake's.
That'd be incredible.
That'd be
it's like
cool.
Him in like an insane asylum watching Stephen working in a gift shop, and he's just losing his goddamn mind.
But I did think that's when they first alluded to there being another personality. And I said to Zoe, it'll be, I think it'll be Jake, or if they go down the route of, I forgot the name of the comic, but where they get the Punisher and the Wolverine and Deadpool personalities and stuff. I very much doubt that's going to be the case, but that's something they could do. Where was I going with that? No, but I said when we do get introduced to them, I reckon we're going to see all the blackouts. And it's going to go, this is what happened. But no, we didn't. Because imagine the choreography and stuff from like Daredevil and things, but with Moon Knight. I think it'd be fucking awesome. Because even just the shot of him when he's in the bathroom and he's just like fucking absolutely just fucking wailing on. It's way more brutal than a lot of the MCU stuff, with the exception of maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier when he decapitates that guy.
Oh yeah,
with the shield.
And he's just there with with the blood on the shield. Yeah, that was quite good.
That was quite gory for the show. Obviously, didn't see it happen,
which is interesting because it's just sort of like, oh my god, he's just decapitated that guy.
Yeah.
How many people have the Avengers killed?
Yeah, but that was the whole point.
Loads.
That was the whole point in the Sokovia Accords, though, wasn't it? Like, you need to be held accountable for all. I know you've saved the world, and we're very grateful for that. But and then the whole thing,
you can just kill people. Like that if you want to, and there's no one that can stop you.
But they've done it a lot with other things though. Like obviously the whole thing from the DC EU with Superman and Zod and Batman being like you're a naughty alien who's just flying around destroying the world, and I don't trust you. But we've got the same mum's name, so we're all cool. But they've done it with a lot of things. Most notably, I'd say probably Watchmen, where obviously they are superheroes, but people don't like them because of the things that they've done, even though they have saved the world. And the Incredibles, same thing.
I don't think anyone's ever compared Watchmen and the Incredibles before.
There you go. It is though, isn't it? It's like people like, I mean, that person who tried, I think that's probably the first type of suicide I've seen in a a Disney movie, and that guy sues Mr. Incredible because he saves him from jumping off the building.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't want to be saved. And it's a funny thing at the time.
I did like that line from it where he's just like, you did save my life, you ruined my death.
Yeah.
That's a great line. Like, that's just so, like, typical of just, Sue culture.
But that's like now, though, because this was years and years and years and years ago. But that's what happens these days, where it's this. Yeah, you've done this really nice thing, but you stop this bad thing from happening. So I'm going to sue the fuck out of you. It's like, but what? What do you want to do? And I see that as a similar thing with what like the Sokovia Accords was for, was to help, just to put them. We'll only need you if we're fucking desperate, and we'll give you jobs to do, so you don't just go off and do what you want, damage control and all that stuff. And then obviously Thanos happened, so all that went to shit anyway, regardless of what they wanted to do.
Imagine if they'd been sat on the sidelines going, he's in Wakanda.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not America though, so
seems they're on our
them
soil.
and their shields and their rhinos sort him out, all right?
God, Zoe mentioned a thing today when we were coming out of the cinema, and she was like, it's really sad because like that movie, that's the end of all of that. Now it's all the new stuff. And I was like, I haven't really thought about it like that, because obviously this is already into the next phase with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and everything else, but it's all of the oldies are going. It's like working somewhere and everybody leaving except for you, and now it's all new people there. It's really weird. I hadn't thought about it like that till she said. I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, look at those new people that we're getting in though.
Yeah.
Like, there's some solid players there to keep things spicy and interesting, and like, especially with what they're doing, it's going to be a lot more diverse. So it's not just going to be, it's a guy who can build, there's a guy who's strong, and then there's another guy who's strong, and there's another guy who's strong, and then there's another guy who's strong, but he can fly as well. Like, it's going to be like, oh, okay, well, this person can, like, shapeshift. This person's a martial artist. This person's dead. But, they're whatever. Like, it's just a lot more sort of weirdness that they're going into it. Like, if you'd have said, you go, we're going to make this MCU, we're going to make this Avengers verse, but there's going to be Ant-Man, there's going to be Ms. Marvel, they're going to be Thor and Blade and Daredevil. They'd have gone, absolutely not. You've got a blind guy and you've got a woman. Like, none of that is going to work, is it? Like, it just never would have flown back in the day. Whereas now they know that they've got a blank check to do whatever the fuck they want.
I think that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Like, for good or bad, no matter how people feel about the MCU and superhero movies in general, it's paved the way for everything else to come. There's no way we'd have WandaVision and Loki and that kind of stuff, or even Moon Knight, without everything that's happened before. And just having your paint by numbers. Here's a back, like Iron Man 1. Here's your good guy, he's got an armoured suit. Here's the bad guy, he's got an armoured suit. Here's fucking Ant-Man. This is a guy that can go small. Here's your bad guy, he can go small. it's that very superhero movie by numbers, and it works and it sets everything up, but it's set its way up to these other new radical changes and stuff. I mean, I love most of the MCU movies, and I'm still excited, but it was only when it dawned on me that it was like, that's all gone now. It's as good as finished. Still good though. Still massively recommend it.
Well, there'll be a new turning point, because as of yet, there's not really been a new big thing.
No,
it's going to force all of these things together. It's just, it's just sort of, it's still world building, I guess, at this point. Before they get to like the next big thing, like you. That's the thing. Galactus.
Yeah, they've got to build up to what's the new Thanos? What's the new big thing?
They're putting in the groundwork and they're doing, right, well, we've got Shang-Chi, we've got Miss Marvel, and we've got Captain Marvel, and we've got whatever. We've got all these guys all lined up. So now we don't need to explain who they all are, and we can just go, whoop, next team up, let's do it. And then when everyone gets a bit bored of it, Chris Evans, let's roll him back out again. Young Captain America. Everyone goes fucking bananas. Like, it'll happen.
Yeah, of course it will.
They'll offer Robert Downey Jr. $60 million to come back and do a cameo, and people will lose their fucking minds.
It absolutely will happen, 100%. Even if it's just a pass the torch kind of deal.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of passing the torch, though, Callum,
I know where this is going, and I don't think that was a great segue.
No, I think it is actually, because as many people will know, there's a bit of a Star Trek resurgence over at CBS and Paramount at the moment, with Discovery and Picard and Lower Decks and Prodigy, and there's like a Section 31 show, and there's a new show called Strange New Worlds, which launched today, I believe. Callum, I've watched Strange New Worlds.
You have.
And Callum, it's great. It's real good.
Is it better than Lower Decks, though?
I think that Lower Decks
love Lower Decks.
Up until I'd watched this today, I'd say that of Picard and all the other ones, like that's the one that kind of feels the most Star Trek-y.
Really?
And it's because it's poking fun at it, and it's silly, but it still takes care of what the core premise is, that it's there to be useful and helpful and friendly and whatever, but it's really funny, and it pokes fun at the right things, rather than just going, all this space stuff is all silly. Yeah, because
it's made by the people that made. It's not just like a team of people that have gone, let's make a Star Trek show. Obviously, it's made by the people that made Star Trek, and I would say the most Star Trek show I've watched was The Orville.
But again, it's because that's made by people who love that source material and want to pay homage to it. Yeah, he's been in Star Trek. That's how big of a nerd he is.
He loves Star Trek. Like, I was watching an interview about it, and he said, like, when he got the go ahead to do it, it was treated like, I'm a Star Trek fan making a fan show, and I've got money, so I'm going to make it as good as I can make it. And I say I'm not a big Star Trek fan. I like Picard. I like Next Generation. I like Lower Decks. I watched some of The Orville. Thought it was fine. It was all right.
I've watched some of The Orville. But again, I agree completely, and I think it's like if you've got like a passing knowledge or interest in Star Trek, like The Orville, I reckon you'd be, as long as you like sort of like Seth MacFarlane's, like his shows, and his sense of humour and stuff like that. It feels very much a bit more mainstreamy, whereas Lower Decks feels like it's a bit more targeted.
Yeah, it's so Rick and Morty.
There's a lot of jokes.
It's a bit not like offensive and swearing and stuff, but like not smart people, but it's jokes that would go over some people's heads. Yeah. It's not Family Guy crude or that kind of thing.
Yeah, that I'd agree with. It does feel more Rick and Morty-esque than Family Guy or Simpsons.
Have you ever watched Final Space?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think it's closer to that.
Yeah, but I don't like Final Space.
Really? I loved Final Space. But
I don't know, it just felt a bit forced and a bit broad at times.
I think what annoys me...
it's alright.
Because Final Space has been out for years and years, and like Olin Rogers is an animator. He's a comedian and writer. I think somebody else animated it, but he made Final Space years ago, and it was actually originally called... I think it was called Rogers Space or something like that. No, Gary Space. And I followed him on YouTube for a long time, and it was Conan O'Brien that went, I want to make this into I'll fucking pay for it. Let's make this into a real show, and which always annoyed me when it came onto Netflix and it was like Netflix original. I was like, fuck off! No, it wasn't. Because it wasn't. It was CBS. It was on CBS before it was on anything else, and then Conan's special app thing. But I really liked it. I think it came at the wrong time where they went, oh, you like Rick and Morty? You'll love this. They're very different. Yeah. They're very different shows.
Yeah, it's not the same. But I think that Lower Decks feels like it's made like in the same way that Seth MacFarlane's made The Orville. It's sort of like this like swan song and homage. It feels like it's very much that.
Yeah, it's a passion project.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, whereas Picard, like this second season, has just got really odd, and I just don't enjoy it. And I'm watching it because I'm sort of like, it's only got like 2 more, so I've got to finish it. But I'm looking forward to the third season because of who's going to be in it, rather than anything that's going on in the second at the moment, which is bizarre. Yeah. Discovery's fine, but it feels like it's everything is just like, oh my god, we've got to save the galaxy, and there's no, it just doesn't feel grounded anymore. It feels like everything's destiny, and you know, it just feels bigger and grander than it needs to be. Whereas, like, I've got a feeling, and there's no way of proving this, it's probably not true, but it feels like they've made Discovery and Prodigy and Lower Decks to kind of hit more mainstream audiences, to kind of get more people interested in the brand, because they wanted to make Strange New World, because this is the most, I've got the sense of more like, oh, this is a Star Trek show again.
Yeah.
Like, from this than I have from the entirety of Discovery, which feels like it feels like it's a J.J. Abrams, that sort of thing, where it's just sort of like, yeah, sure, there'll be a couple of little nods and there'll be a name that you'll understand or whatever, but honestly, they don't give a shit about everything else.
Yeah.
It's more about, you know, this new kind of cool
viewers.
Riverdale Star Trek or whatever. Whereas this is just sort of like, yeah, fuck all that. Like, we're going back to old school. Yeah. We're having people sit down and talking. And I said this to you after, because you pointed it out where I could go and watch this, so it's very much on you that I seen this at all so soon on in the UK, because we get fucked over for everything.
VPNs, baby!
I know, right? But in almost every episode of Discovery, and I'm sure if you've gone and listened back to an old podcast at some point, I would have moaned about Discovery. Like, in every episode, there's a big old fight, and everyone's getting shot, and there's lasers, and there's 400 ships all shooting at each other, or whatever. And it's like Daredevil. Like, in every episode of Daredevil and Moon Knight and all of it, like, there always has to be a big action sequence, right? And in this first episode, this is the first time they've done this, and it's a couple of the characters that have come from Discovery and that Enterprise, and they've gone, right, now we're going back, and it's going to be its own thing now. And there is a 5-second scuffle.
Okay.
That's it. They just sort of like, they go, oh, we're going to get found out, right? Vulcan nerve pinch, right, he's down. And like, a phaser wasn't pulled, a ship didn't explode, like, a planet didn't blow up, a sun wasn't about to go out.
Was there a giant hippo?
It was just no giant hippos either. It was just parallels to, you know,
old
the real
Star
world
Trek
that we're in at the moment, and this is why we shouldn't be doing, you know, wars and that.
Well,
and like, it just felt like they went, we've got to do the other mainstream things and have lasers and, you know, conspiracy theorists and whatever, because that's how we get the audience back. But what we really wanted to do was make this one, which is classic.
Do you think that's why,
like,
though?
Way better than,
because, like, I get something you said a couple of minutes ago with it, like, discovering that they feel bigger and grander than they need to be, and I'm not a big Star Trek fan. I don't hate Star Trek, but obviously you're a massive Star Trek fan. I'm not, but I liked Picard because it wasn't like Star Trek. I like Lower Thirds because it's funny. And in Lower Decks, sorry. I like Lower Thirds. They're going across the bottom right now. I'll make some Star Trek ones for those.
Hey!
What's the other one? Next Generation I liked, but more for nostalgia than anything else, because I used to watch it after, like I said before, I'd watch The Simpsons while I was having my tea, and then that would be on straight after, and that was just my thing, and then I did get into it.
Sure.
And other than that, the only other ones I like is it First Contact with the Borg? Yeah, that film's excellent, and I genuinely really like that film. But it's nothing like Next Generation. Even though it's the same team and everything else, it's big and actiony and everything else, and it's far from Star Trek. And I 100% think what you said is probably 100% accurate, where they've gone, this J.J. Abrams is big and flashy and everything's overly white and like fucking motion blur and lens flare and all this stuff. Let's draw people in. Here's a show that's very similar to that. Here's a cartoon and it's a bit quippy and a bit funny. Here's Picard. He's a lot older and it's more of it feels more sci-fi than Star Trek was. It's like the way I see it's like, when I think of sci-fi, I think Star Wars, and when I think Star Trek,
fiction because it's fantastical. It's impossible.
It's this, like, Star Trek's very, with the exception of like making food out of a laser thing, not like a laser cutter, but like the
that's not how it works. It's,
no. The thing from
again,
Picard where he goes to the vending machine thing and he just like boop, 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 and it's like.
Well, that's a replicator.
That's the
but
badger.
It takes. Yeah, but it's like theoretically, it's kind of like, think of it like an incredibly advanced 3D printer. So instead of it being like, I can make a cup out of plastic just by the pattern.
Guess I can make food.
If you go, I want a cake, and it's like, okay, well, molecularly, it needs X and X and X and X, and all these things that then turn into a cake, and then it just takes all of those, like, because in the same way that you use it to make things, you put things in it to dispose of them as well, so it breaks them all down, like a transporter. So it breaks them all down into like molecular components that it can then reuse to make a cake.
So if I didn't eat all my cake and I put it back in, it would then use that parts of that to make another cake.
Precisely.
That's disgusting. What if I put?
I mean, it's not all cake based,
but
it would be
dog
like
poo in there.
Well, but any components that it would need, you go, okay, well, there's like sulfur and nitrogen. Okay, well, I need that to make this thing.
Disgusting.
So,
the future's horrible, and I hate it.
But that's how you have a starship that you can fly across. But you don't have an entire fucking pantry full of ready-to-go meals and microwave food.
I don't want to get to space there.
Well, that's how, like, on the International Space Station, like, they have to reuse and recycle everything. Because, firstly, you can't store it anywhere, because space
I think we should do that.
Infinitesimal.
You can buy them, can't you? Like the packets of space food and...
like dehydrated meals and that. Yeah,
see if we could live on it.
But,
for a week, not forever.
I mean, again...
just for like a week.
Not forever, no. But, yeah, like, enough to keep you alive. Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing. Like, so, like, Discovery, it's like, it's AIs that are going to conquer the galaxy unless they take it to the future. And, like, so they introduce this new ship and then this new type of travel called this spore drive, where it just and it can disappear and reappear literally anywhere. That's the point of this thing. And then they have to spend almost an entire season explaining that that's okay to do that, rather than what's the point of warp drive then? Like it's a thing where you create a new fantastical technology that completely replaces the need for anything else. Like, 'cause again, in the J.J. Abrams thing, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
They had Khan, who had a teleporter that could teleport him across, like from one planet to another. And then it's just like, okay, then why do you need a starship anymore?
Well, yeah. Because all this happens before the shows, though, don't they?
Exactly. So... And then they go like, they've got this super blood and bring Kirk back from the dead with it. It's like, okay, well then no one ever needs to die again in the future, do they? Like, it's stuff like that where you just like, well, you've just made a problem worse for yourself. Yeah. And they had to retcon it in Discovery by this spore drive thing, which again, never existed or was never ever mentioned beforehand. They made it up for the show. And then they had to go into the future to stop this AI, whatever it is, from, again, mental controlling the galaxy, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone was sworn to secrecy. Which is why it's never ever been mentioned. And it's just like, oh, come on.
Don't like
that. It feels like a get out of jail. I like the fact that they addressed it and said that's why no one's ever mentioned it before or whatever.
Did they address it because of that, or was it addressed because people pointed it out?
More than likely the second. Like, it's because of like, okay, well, how come Voyager got stuck in the Delta Quadrant and had to have 7 seasons of a show getting back to Earth? Why didn't they just go, what's a quicker way than warp drive? There's this old spore drive thing. Well, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's just sit where we are for 6 months, figure that out again, and just zip back to Earth that way. So, like, that's why everything had to be bigger and grander, and it had to feel better and whatever. Whereas again, this is going purely off one episode, but usually that's where you want your cool, interesting stuff to happen, to like set everything up. It's the Enterprise that we've already seen from Discovery, which looks amazing, by the way. Like, set design, brilliant. And they've gone... there's basically there's a distress signal over here. We'll go and find it out. Oh shit! Because of something that we've done, we've caused this problem to happen. We need to fix this problem, and they do it by him beaming down and talking to people.
Like should.
There's no huge thing that happens. There's going to be like character stuff that carries over and relationships, and you learn about how people whatever. But again, all of them have done that. But next week, that episode is going to have fuck all to do with this one. And that's what I mean. If they'd have said, so Enterprise was the last show in like the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we haven't had another one since Discovery, which was in like the 2010s or whatever. So if they'd have said, we're going to come back and we're going to do it, and it's going to be episodal and it's going to be this way, they go, no. This isn't 1982 anymore. You can't do that for TV. You have 24 episodes of whatever. They need to have the cool, flashy thing. And I think that's why they've used it as a cover. And then they said, this is the one we're really going to put effort into. Because it doesn't feel like a Netflixy, Riverdale-y kind of, everyone's got a story that everyone else has to... Like, it just doesn't feel like that.
What if they do this and it's universally panned?
I'll tell you what, I had a look at Moon Knight. Should we have a look and see what that is?
Have a look and see if that... It may not have even be rated yet. Might only be like 3 reviews.
That's a very good point. It only has... Oh, I'll tell you what, Doctor Strange has only got 78%, so that doesn't bode well, does it?
It's definitely higher than that.
Yeah. Oh, Fantastic Beasts has got 47. Yikes.
That's gone up. I think that was a lot lower.
Oh, I mean, these have only just come out, haven't they? So there's a bit of fluctuation that you're going to have in there. So Moon Knight had 87%, but that's for the season.
Yeah.
Do you know what Strange New Worlds has got for season 1? Obviously, bear in mind that is one episode.
Episode 1.
So no, this is for season 1. But obviously, presumably, that season score will change week on week.
Yeah, it'll change as it comes out.
Yeah, in terms of... yes, it was today it came out.
How many reviews?
It doesn't... 21 critic, 35 audience.
So it's like 50. 91.
For which?
91 user, 89 critic.
You're not a million miles away. So audience score, so that's the 35 users, that's 94%. The critics, which is 21, is 100%.
Ooh.
So I'm going to see. So I've obviously just sort of blathered on a little bit. I mean, this is a longer podcast than usual. I could spend the next 5 hours talking about how this made me feel.
Don't worry.
Because, also, you see New Spock shirtless and he's fucking shredded and gorgeous.
Thing is, though, like as with everything, everything is subjective, and
of course. Do you want to hear some?
Yeah, give me a few lines. Throw me a few lines, Dan.
So, top critic. So this is probably okay. That's not a negative one necessarily. This is still a fresh thing. It's a direct prequel, which it is direct prequel to.
They'll all be positive, won't they? That's how it's got 100.
Yeah, but I mean, some of them will still be like, oh, it's not amazing, but it's better than whatever.
Yeah, they've still rated it high, though.
Yeah. So a direct prequel populated by younger versions of characters like Spock and Uhura. It's hardly a bold construct, as in, this isn't groundbreaking, but it's
saying
got 50 years.
Haven't boldly gone in a different direction.
Very good. But it's mostly an entertaining one, absolutely. Next one, Oh Joy, a Star Trek origin story that captures the humanism, humour, and impulse to connect to the large of the original, while smoothly assimilating into the larger Star Trek universe. Yeah,
assimilating. Good wording.
Very good. After a string of spin-offs characterised by gritty darkness or twisted mythologizing, Paramount Plus may have cracked the Star Trek code with a new series that's bright, optimistic, and fundamentally episodic in nature. Absolutely agree.
Which was your good points?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's almost startling how effective the old format is after all this time. The early episodes of Strange New Worlds have a little bit of everything the franchise has tried over the years: exploration, diplomacy, action, even comedy.
Just be careful in case some of these have seen more than you have as well.
It's still mainly just sort of like covering it as a whole. So Strange New Worlds puts a modern spin on a classic franchise territory. It's a real trump card, however, may turn out to be its crew, with Anson Mount's charismatic, authoritative Captain Christopher Pike the standout. That, again, from one episode, I completely agree with. Like, this is definitely going to be it's like a focused on the captain story again, which is what they did with Next Gen and Voyager and whatever. Yeah. And he's crushing it. Like, he was great in Discovery, and I'm so glad that he's carried over and he's going to do this one.
Good.
So I'd probably go as far as to say this could very well be the best. Oh, this is going to be bold. I might regret this in about 6 weeks' time, but this could be the best ever first season of Star Trek. Because
you changed where I thought that was going, Daniel. thought you were going to say the best Star Trek show.
Oh no, way too early for that.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Certainly probably of the modern era, probably. Yeah, I'd say so far. But like,
I don't know.
historically, the first season is always kind of been a bit wobbly, and it's finding its feet before it kind of gets better and better.
Well, that's most shows though. That's not just limited to Star Trek, except Daredevil.
That's very true.
Daredevil was excellent.
That is, yeah. The thing is though, that's kind of like the exception that proves the rule, though.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, how many get a solid first season like that? Like The Witcher and stuff like that, and Stranger Things. You know, those are kind of like exceptions. But
I don't know. I think The Witcher 1 was a much weaker season than the second season.
We haven't had a second season yet, have we?
Oh no, I watched it in 2 parts. No, ignore me. the back end of The Witcher is better than the beginning. Sorry.
No, that I'd agree with as well. To be fair. But like, if you go back and watch, it's like watching the first season of The American Office. It's just sort of like, oh, it's okay, but it's not season 3.
It's just the British one, but
not as good.
Yeah, I don't know. I prefer the American one.
No, I think that the first season
very different.
Of the American one is basically the first 3 of the British one.
That's what I mean. It's just kind of a condensed version of what we already saw until they made their own thing. But like, I think Stranger Things are a much better example of a incredibly strong first season. Mm-hmm. And then even, like I say, I think Daredevil was excellent. Jessica Jones was good, but it wasn't as good. None of the other Netflix Marvel shows were as good as the first season of Daredevil, in my opinion. Big Mouth was a very good, strong season, but that was also one that I think they made and just went, do whatever the fuck you want, and they made whatever they wanted. Speaking of, this has gone on for nearly 2 hours, so we will wrap it up. But I saw the other day.
I've still got another 3 hours to talk about Star Trek.
No, we don't. The Netflix have cut like all the funding for most of the animated shows that they're doing.
Well, they were going pretty because they had like Godzilla and Pacific Rim,
Arcane.
League of Legends. Sorry, they were doing what was it now?
Castlevania, Big Mouth, Love, Death and Robots.
There was the Witcher animated thing.
Enchantment, whatever, the Simpsons thing.
Oh,
Disenchanted
or whatever that
Disinfectant.
Is. There was like another new. I didn't even finish the last season. There's another season of that that's dropped that I haven't got around to yet. But it's fine. It's just not. It's
just The Simpsons with the occasional swear word.
Yeah.
So it is.
But I like where this is going. Like, this is the first time that I think for a while that I've seen like the first episode of a thing. Especially something that I'm so into and so critical of, because I've been kind of a bit poisoned by like, oh god, another thing. It's just it's like like an oversaturation. Whereas this one, I was just like, oh my god, I recognise what they're doing here. Like, this feels like there's like love and effort and actual time that's gone into making this right, rather than they just lucked out. Like, it feels like this is going to be very much setting the tone for everything going forward. I honestly, I think that of all of the ones released so far, at least after Enterprise, I think this is the one that you would probably like, oh, that's really good. Like, not just because it's like flashy and whatever, it's because it's well written and well spoken and like acted properly. Like, it feels like everyone, like, they sat them all down in a room and just went,
associate with Star Trek.
you better and nail this. Like, this is that we're putting all of our eggs in your basket. So
I'll probably watch it when all the episodes are out. I'll probably sit down and watch. Like I say, like I did, I watched Picard week to week. And then I think that was like, kind of dropped off.
8 or 9 episodes, wasn't
something like that, yeah. But but again, it's different. It's not Star Trek. Did you watch again? Let's wrap this up. The TV Krypton.
Oh my god, I forgot. Did that get canned after like a season?
Couldn't possibly tell you. I didn't finish it, and it was good. I liked it, but it wasn't Superman. It wasn't Star Trek. It was kind of like an amalgamation of that, and that's how I felt about Picard. It wasn't Star Trek. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't
a new flashy. It was just it was its own thing, and that's why I liked it, because it was as far removed from Star Trek as you could get without it being an animated cartoon that they'd already done.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of it, like, you know, the kind of like the philosophy and the ideology and that kind of stuff being removed from it, and it's more just sort of like, you know, the Picard that was in First Contact.
Yeah.
He was a bit more sort of like a bit more gung ho. He'd shoot his own crew. Yeah. You know, because why not?
It called for it.
Yeah, so it feels like it's that, but again, it's sort of like, oh, you know, it's like all of androids have been outlawed because of this, and it's just sort of like, you know, it's getting pulled into this huge conspiracy, and it's just sort of like, oh god, can you not just have him just be on his farm, just farming for a day? Like, what, just do that. Like that feels more like, you know, rather than, you know, he's got to go and tackle the fucking board. He's 80. Leave him alone. Either put him on a ship where he can do some good behind, you know, a console or whatever. Don't put a gun in his hand and send him into a field to fight Borg. What are you playing?
He loves it though, doesn't he? He loves it.
Oh, he's sick of it now. He's absolutely sick of it. I bet you anything, anyone who's been watching Strange New Worlds, who are like into, you know, your classic Star Treks or whatever, I reckon they're going to be putting all their faith in that one. I reckon that is going to be the one that's going to be held high and just be like, oh, of all the sort of, you know, not tripe, it's not bad, it's just, if you're going in expecting a certain thing, you're not going to get it. But if you're coming in fresh, that might be interesting enough for you to go, I'll watch that show that's 40 years old because I like this new stuff. Where does that come from, you know? Whereas this one, it seems like it could be the perfect kind of amalgamation of the old and the new.
I think
and
that
yeah, next week I could very well come back and just be like, change my mind.
No,
it's just,
it was
they've
a
just gone
one-off.
straight to they've blown up a planet and time's changed again, and forget it.
I mean, it could. Obviously, we won't know till it's out. But I think that is where the divide's going to be. Where you're going to have your purists, and obviously the people that have reviewed it at the moment. Obviously, they've got straight in on it. Your critics. If it's 100%, that means they're all massively popular. They're all positive reviews. There's not a negative one, not a negative score in there at least. Which means
that's the thing, because I reckon of all the people that would be reviewing it, so like with your discoveries and stuff like that, your negative reviews are mainly. I don't know, so that could just be speculation, but I reckon it's going to be people going, well, this isn't like the Next Generation. Like, no one's talking, and there's 400 people shooting at each other, and there's a kickboxing fight that's lasted for 10 minutes. Like, this isn't what the old one's about. You're not going to have this come out, and then people go, why is there no planets blowing up? I don't understand.
But they're the reviews that will bring it down. So at the moment, it's people that love it.
But that's the thing.
You are going to get your other ones.
But how can they comment on that and say, "Oh, this isn't what it's all about"? Because
that's how reviews work.
50 years of previous show work and stuff would very much disagree with you. I just don't think that there'd be, because that would be the argument for anyone who's got an issue with Discovery and Picard or whatever. Because you go, well, yeah, but you've still got all those old shows. Just go back and watch them. You don't have to whinge about the new ones. Because I'm pretty sure I might have said this to a friend of the show, Rick, because he likes Star Trek as well. Yeah. And I can't remember if it was something I said to him, or maybe it might have been you. I don't remember, but it was like there will be a crossover point where it won't be cool and flash and hip new Star Trek, where they're saying the F word. I don't believe it. And it's gonna cross a threshold, and it's gonna have to go back to its original roots. Yeah. Because it's like Coca-Cola, where they're like, oh, new Coke, and then people are like, boo, give us old Coke, which is the same thing. Yeah. And people absolutely, go mental for it because it's just the same thing that they've been used to. It's like the MCU, I guess. You get to a point where they go, oh, just give us Captain America back again.
It's going to happen.
Give us Iron Man.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it'll cross the threshold.
They've done it with everything else. They tried new things.
You go back, and then it's revolutionary because they're going back to traditional, what it was when it got popular.
Well, that's what I mean. All it'll take, though, is someone that maybe they love Discovery, maybe they just hate Star Trek in general, and it takes one bad review to bring that score crashing down.
Well, it's like I say, it's after a day.
Aggregate. So that's what I mean. At the minute, there's people jumping on it and going, I love Star Trek, which is why I've watched it now. Then you get tomorrow there'll be one from IGN and be like, too much space, 4 out of 10. This
no one got shot in this episode.
Yeah,
Boo!
But that's what it'll be. It'll be like there's so much talk, it's so much blah 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 blah, and then you'll have, because especially for websites like IGN and GameSpot and stuff like that, where they'll go,
oh, do you reckon they'll purposefully go, oh, this is boring, because then everyone will go on and go,
yeah,
this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it drives in article clicks and everything else, which is how they make their money. But then it'll also be, they'll go, all right, we've got the first 3 episodes of Brand New Worlds, Brave New Worlds, Strange New Worlds.
I've said it about 8 times.
You have,
already,
and I forgot already. Strange New Worlds, isn't it?
Yes.
Got the first 3 episodes of these. Obviously, Dan, you're our biggest Star Trek fan. So, Callum, can you review these for us, please? And that's how they work. Like, all of the ones, there's writers I know who specifically, like, all they play is Zelda. That's all they fucking play. If you go on their profiles for like the articles they've wrote, all the games they review are like Call of Duty, this and this and this and this, and they give Zelda to somebody else, because if it is a scathing review, you'll have your people fucking flooding into the comments, which is what generates the stuff. But those reviews obviously coincide with your Rotten Tomatoes and your Metacritic, and that aggregate will then go whoop, whoop, which is why they're so.
Well, that's the thing. It won't be
topsy-turvy.
until the end of that season that you'll get a kind of a genuine feel as to what the reaction's been. But it's interesting though, because I was looking when I watched Sonic yesterday, and I think I did because I was just like, I'm surprised with how much I enjoyed that. Like, it's just a really good, fun, silly film.
Yeah.
And then I think I did end up going on Rotten Tomatoes, and there was a couple of sort of like critical reviews on it, just sort of like, well, it's just sort of, it's a bit farcical, blah blah blah. And it's just like, this is a 60-year-old white guy. This film is definitely not aimed at this guy, but they're treating it as if it is.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon that, like, if I was a kid and this is one that I'd watched, I'd like, that would be imprinted. Like, it'd be like, oh, this is, like, I'd say it's, in terms of how much I enjoyed it, I'd say any sort of like game related, like Detective Pikachu and all that sort of stuff, and that's probably kind of the highest bar, really.
Yeah.
I'd say I enjoyed it more than any of those. I had a fucking romp with it.
I watched Uncharted last weekend, and
oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah.
Massive Uncharted fan. I've played and completed every single Uncharted game numerous times, including Golden Abyss on PS Vita. And as an Uncharted movie, it's fucking dog shit. As a movie, it's at least a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. Just as a film, take out the Uncharted aspects and just make it an adventure film. It's very, very, very good. Tom Holland's excellent. The young girl playing Chloe's excellent. Mark Wahlberg's really good, but as Sully, he's fucking wank. But just as the person he is in the movie, is more than fine, and there's a good bounce off between them. But like I said multiple times, and when we started the Uncharted Saviour League to boycott this movie, which worked the first time round.
We pushed it back by about 10 years, didn't we? Yeah.
We don't need one because we've already got Indiana Jones. There's your Uncharted movie there, which is what the games are mostly based on.
Exactly. So you're not going to top that, are you?
My biggest gripes, and they're not spoilers per se. Most of them are from the trailer. It opens with Uncharted 3, so you got your cargo scene where he's got the things that's coming out of the plane. That's literally the opening of the movie, which we saw in the trailer anyway. And then you got bits of Uncharted 1, bits of Uncharted 2, bits of Uncharted 4, and then obviously there's this thing at the end that alludes to the sequel. If you're going to do a sequel, why don't you just start with Uncharted 1 and then have Uncharted 2 as your sequel?
Yep.
If you include the Vita game and the spin-off, that's 5 movies you could have. Just baffles me. It just really baffles me. But I would say, in terms of quality, it would be between Pikachu and Uncharted for the best video game movie.
Well, Uncharted I've been meaning to watch, so I will get round to that at some point.
I think you'll like it.
I can't imagine that I would dislike it. Like Tomb Raider, I was just sort of like
way better than Tomb Raider.
Again, like that first, like just if you wanted to do the reboot Tomb Raiders, that first game, that was all you needed to do.
Yeah, it's already cinematic.
Have exactly the same premise, the same setup. There's a storm, there's a shipwreck. It's the same goddess, and she has to survive and learn how to do whatever. and they tried it and they fucking beefed it. And you know why? It's because they went, oh, it can't be real
Let's
magic.
change it.
It's all booby traps and it's all set up or whatever. They go, no, that was like a legit goddess or whatever you had to fight at the end. That was cool. That's why she does what she does. And it's just sort of they're going, right, the fantastical element or whatever makes it super interesting.
Let's take that out.
It's how do we sell that on film? No, probably not. It does baffle me.
I didn't buy her as Lara either. I still don't know. I can't fathom why they never got the girl. I forgot her name now, but who played Lara in the reboots. It's all mocapped. She looks exactly as it's facially. They look the same. She did all her own stunts. She's a good actress. She's already Lara Croft. She'd probably be cheaper.
It's studios.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, we need to put a name behind it. You can't have exactly the same because it's a video game, and video games are just for nerds.
Which I'd get if they put Winona Ryder in there. But
in the world,
she wasn't exactly a massive actress to start with. She hadn't been in a lot of stuff. Obviously, she's more famous than me, obviously. But I couldn't name another film she'd been in.
Winona Ryder?
No, the girl who played Lara in the new movies.
Oh, it's like Alicia or...
Because she was a model, wasn't she? Before she became an actress.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I'm sure she was. And he said, you know her from all these films. I go, no, her from none of these films. But yeah, I say Uncharted was very good. I'm going to watch... I'll be watching Sonic at the weekend with
I'm
Logan.
really curious as to whether... Like, I just watched it in the right frame of mind at the right time, and it just proper hit home. Because if you go, I thought it was just as good or dog shit, like as good as the first one or just worse than.
I'm happy as long as it's as good as the first one. I've warmed a lot to the first one.
I'd say like I've only seen the first one once, or if it's twice, I don't really even remember it being a second time. But I infinitely prefer this one.
Yeah, I mean it's a hopefully they learn all the mistakes from the first. Like I said before, I hated the first one the first time, and then I watched it again, and I went, no, it's not as bad as I remember. And then I watched it again because the trailer for the second one came out, and I went, it's actually pretty decent. It's all right. It's not too bad. So as long as
all I can think of though is
like that.
Remember like original design Sonic with like the weird spindly legs.
I still don't think that was real.
What would have Tails and Knuckles look like if that's the Sonic design they'd gone for?
That's going to be our video, Dan.
It would look like the Crack Fox from the Mighty Boosh.
We're going to do a video where we're going to we'll take Knuckles and we'll take Tails from Sonic 2, and we're going to Photoshop the same face
like
from old movie Sonic, and we're going to do it backwards. So instead of fixing it, we're going to make it worse, and we'll do a video on it.
Okay, sure, why not?
That's our new collab.
Okay, sure.
But no, I'll let you know what I think. Obviously, get Uncharted watched as soon as you're able to do so. It's available now to buy on Blu-ray, and you can rent it on Amazon, I believe.
I'll probably watch it on Amazon.
Yeah, so I that's all I watched it on. But yeah, it was good. It was fun. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed all of the movie. I just wished it wasn't Uncharted.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lot better than I expected it to be. Zoe obviously fell asleep and can't remember any of it, but it's very good.
Well, that's just typical of her, though, isn't it?
A lot of little cheeky Easter eggs in there as well that people will go, that's that thing.
I've played 1, 2, and I didn't finish 3, so there might be certain things that I recognise. There might be a lot of it that goes over my head, so I'm not sure yet. But I'm looking forward to it. There's
a nice little one that's not really an Uncharted Easter egg, but it's not a spoiler in any possible way. But there's he's got like the old travel briefcases, like the real old fashioned ones, and they're like stickers and stuff. Like where you'd been, and
like a steamer trunk.
That's the word, yeah, more of a trunk than anything else. He's got like loads of stickers from like different places and kind of like memory type things, and the Naughty Dog logo is one of them.
Oh, really? That's cool.
That's really nice, very nice.
Yeah,
I did like that. So it's nothing to do with the story or anything else, but I was like, oh, cool, that's very good. Nice. Yeah, but yeah, just let us know what you think of that. I'll give Strange New Worlds a watch, probably when like I say. maybe not all of them, maybe a couple, so I can watch a few and go nah or woo. We shall see. But this has gone on for over 2 hours, Dan. This has been the longest one in a while. If you want to listen to more that aren't as long as this one, but some ain't too far off.
Still quite long.
As well as some video. We've got some videos going up, Dan. We've got Conan. We've got...
We have, mate.
I forgot the other one. I want to say Project Zero, and it's not. It's Generation Zero.
Generation Zero. There you go.
We've got some Generation Zero going up. We've got some more Rocket League to go up, and we've got a return to the streets in PvP response unit, squad, police force.
Police officers, patrol, something.
That game we did before. We did 2 videos on last time, but it was lots of fun. We did some more of that. And I think there's another one that I actually can't remember because we filmed quite a lot this week.
I don't know. I know that Trek to Yomi is out today. I had a little go on that before we started this podcast. It's quite good, mate. Quite good. So I'm looking forward to finishing it off.
I shall download it probably after this. But if you want to check out all the other stuff that we've done, as well as reviews, other podcasts, spoiler casts, animations, let's plays, and pretty much anything else that is available on other websites in various forms, we've done the same thing.
I'll tell you what other people haven't done though, Callum. We could do a week-on-week review of Strange New Worlds, and it's not necessarily going to be a discussion. It's going to be you sat there just listening to me talk about it.
How about we do it differently? Because there'll be dedicated Star Trek things that'll be doing that. What if we do week on week? I review it.
And I correct you
as someone
constantly.
to go. Well, they said this thing and this thing happened. You go, but
Callum,
this thing.
in Deep Space Nine though.
That's what I mean. So we do it that way. Yeah, we'll do that.
Oh, yeah, I'm well up for that. Yeah, okay, I'm up for that. Yeah, cool.
Because then it will be a strange new world for me.
Oh my god! All the pieces come together.
Everything's come together. So we'll start that from the next episode, Dan. The next episode we'll do that.
Cool.
Ironically, if on the website for the cover picture for where we've got all the different series for the PvP podcast at the top, it's because I used I forgot what the reasoning was, but it's got now with more Star Trek, and then at the bottom at the bottom in really small writing, it just says there's not really. Don't worry.
Really? I haven't seen that. I'm going to check that out.
That's been out for that's been on there for ages. It's for the
Oh well, I'll tell you what. That's probably a good time as any to check the wall to see if we've
let's see if we've had anything else. I haven't been on the website all week.
Oh
Dan.
now with Star Trek trivia.
Yeah.
Remember when I used to do that?
That was the reason.
Send you a little picture or something and just be like, right, what's this thing?
And then at the bottom it's got don't worry, it's not, or something like I can't remember what the actual thing is.
No, nothing on the wall. So
for God's
everyone.
sake.
I'm glad that you're listening to me. Jeez.
I'm going to check this in case it hasn't preloaded.
Well,
No.
either way,
The last
if you've
one was from
watched
Joe.
Strange New Worlds and you've got an opinion on it, if it's either the same or differs from mine, maybe. I've clearly got rose-tinted glasses on for this, but I'm very happy with it, so I really don't give a shit.
I'll be honest, if you like it, it means it must be good for Star Trek people at least.
I think so, yeah. And I know that we've had a few comments from people before who are, so feel free to reach out and let me know what you think about it as well.
Maybe that's why there's been no comments, Dan. Ever since you stopped doing your trivia.
Yeah, maybe. I'll bring it back for
the
Strange New Worlds. Cal's Strange New Worlds. So that's it, podcastpussysplayer.com/the wall. So leave us a little message on there.
Yeah, actually do, because we did enjoy getting them. I did start using Swell again just recently. So I'm going to start using them again because I was thinking about this yesterday when I was getting the podcast together for news and stuff. We'd be able to feed it directly in with the Monocaster AU, whatever model number it is. We did a review on it. AM 200.
Right.
Because we can
feed that in little
it's got
questions.
So it's got stuff in the back, so I can plug my phone directly into it, which you'll be able to hear through all of this. So we can do them live and on the go.
Well, speaking of live and on the go, I might just do one for you right now.
Ooh.
So this is how it's going to work. I'm going to put up a fresh new swell. So if you're listening to,
it's all been updated as well. Looks dead nice now.
I don't know what I'm doing here. Talk, is that it?
Yeah, it's still the microphone button at the bottom.
Okay.
I requested that they do one where so I could take a clip of the podcast and unupload it, but they still haven't implemented it.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. Dan's new to technology. It's like watching my granddad trying to send a text.
It's like it was just sort of like cookies and shit, man. Shut up. So we're in the middle of recording a podcast currently. Callum, say hello.
Hello.
There you go. And we've been talking for probably not as long as I would like, but certainly longer than Callum would probably prefer.
2 hours and 8
talking
minutes.
About the brand new Star Trek show, Strange New Worlds. Very curious as to what other people out there have thought about it. If you're a bit of a purist and a traditionalist, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a return to form, Callum. An absolute return to form.
You're welcome.
But if you maybe if you're just new to Star Trek or you only watch like Discovery and Picard, is it a bit boring for you maybe? Interested to hear what people think. There you go. So some responses to that which we'll no doubt get. We'll pop those up on your Strange New Worlds when we do that.
We can do that. We can feed them in using the Monocaster AU AM200, which the review is available on podcastversusplayer.com/reviews. And you know, if you click the link and buy one yourself, maybe we get a little bit of money. Maybe not.
Maybe we just do. Maybe
we definitely do, though. So please do it. But no, we're gonna wrap it up there because we're encroaching the 2 hours and 10-minute mark, Dan. And with the intro and the outro, it's going to be at least 4 hours. So I'm also there's not a great deal to edit out of this one. If any, I don't think there was any hiccups or bugger ups or anything. So this entire Star Trek conversation we've had, none of it's been condensed down either. So we're all in it together. Normally, because we have to edit out because Roscoe's decided to go off on one.
Yeah, he's actually shut up today.
He's not in here, so
well, that'll do.
I've put his bed on the landing, and he's just chilling there. But
well, do you want to end this?
Yeah,
mate?
we're going to end it. I'm
doing
doing it now. I'm doing the one thing that I was whinging to you about earlier. So we're going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, you're an absolute fucking saint, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. So look out for Cal's Strange New World coming next episode, and I'll probably crop it out and make it into a full video on its own as well.
Okay,
and we'll do it that way. So it'll
good.
be part of the podcast, but we'll make it into a video. So we'll
Brilliant.
see you on the next one. Say goodbye, Dan.
Bye, Dan.
Live long and prosper. I bloody did it.
Oh.
Bye.